Mutatus. Episode 6. Answers. It's been 3 days since I made the call. When I called, I think it was switched to the answering machine, because I heard the final ring, a beep, and then another beep. After that, I left a message. Hi? Hey, is this a guy who appeared on TV with a speech about, homocyanus? I have a question for you, and I was wondering if you could give me a call or something, I guess. I kind of feel stupid right now. This was a bad idea. I'll leave you alone. Bye. And in those 3 days, I've pretty much done the following. Eat, sleep, play video games, continue to practice my powers of both empty cans of pop and really pissed off neighbors, both of which I am in no short supply of. Seriously, the day after Pseudo-Hulk just, hulked out like that, I went to the store and bought another case of pop, to which I have practiced my powers on the newly empty cans. It started with just lifting the cans higher and higher into the air. When that became easy, I moved on to moving them across the room into the recycling bin. When that also became easy, I started becoming more confident and practiced on 2 of them at the same time, then 3, then 4. Currently, I can move 9 cans at once with no problem. When I add the 10th one, things start becoming shaky. I never went beyond 10. Hopefully that won't come to bite me in the ass anytime soon, though I don't see how the fate of all things depend on how many pop cans I can lift with my mind. My other power, which I call persuasion, has also become slightly more powerful as well. The day I went to get pop, I encountered a group of spirited violets who wanted to express their feelings to me with their fists. I was able to use persuasion to have them leave me alone, but it was bumpy at first. I had first told them to just go home, but that didn't work as well as I hoped. They were too pissed off to give in to that. Then I told them that I wasn't worth it, which worked on some of them, but not on the really pissed off guy, whose teeth I think were starting to look more like the teeth of a shark. I then told them that they just couldn't see me, and that worked on all of them. And when it did, I turned around and ran for home, not paying attention to what happened behind me. I realized that I needed to carefully choose how I wanted to affect anyone I met, whether they should just want to go take a nap, or something extreme like they just don't notice me. So that's pretty much my daily routine. Wake up, eat food, think about going outside, decide against going outside, practice my powers, play games, and call Jeremy to see how he's doing. Jeremy has been keeping up to date about current events, seeing as how I've pretty much isolated myself in my home. One thing he told me is that every non-violent has decided to do the same thing. It's rare for them to go outside nowadays. Ever since that broadcast by Kinesis, that is one of the 2 things that happened. Another is that the violets are now out in droves, and not in the sort of way like a group of friends going clubbing. No, this is more scary than that. They're out there like they're actually a pack of hyenas, or a group of sharks looking for something to eat. Some of the violets still act like people, using phones and other modern devices. But there will be 1 or 2 who don't talk. They just stand in the middle or back of the group. Those are the guys who've given over to their darker natures. You'll see a group, and then 1 guy or girl just sniffs the air and growls. Keep an eye out for those guys. But the really scary thing, though, is that the rest of the group will go on like there is nothing really wrong with them, or like they've done this for their entire lives. Like there is nothing wrong at all. At least, there is nothing wrong at all when a non-violent is close by. Then those guys can just cut loose and do their thing. But if there aren't any non-violents nearby, and they really need to cut loose, well, at least they have some warm bodies next to them. Jeremy has told me about many incidents where this has happened, and the violent community just chooses to ignore it. But I've only seen 1 incident like that. At least, the aftermath of an incident like that. It was late at night on the 2nd day of my imposed house arrest. All I heard was screaming. And when I looked out the window, all I saw was a couple of bodies on the now red street. And someone was running away, on all 4s. I couldn't see clearly, but it looked like his arms and legs were longer than usual. In the morning the bodies were gone, and the street was clean, cleaner than it should be. And that's pretty much how it's been. Oh wait, I just remembered something else. There haven't been any more attacks by kinesis. They've been pretty quiet since they first appeared. Which is weird. You'd think that since they basically declared war on the violets, they would be out there burning houses. But there hasn't been any more incidents of them doing anything. One day of them in the limelight and that's it. Weird. Anyway, it's the third day and with nothing to do, I just mentally lifted a couple of empty cans and started moving them in an infinity pattern. At that time the phone rang and, still moving the cans, I picked it up thinking it was Jeremy. Hello. You're getting better at moving cans, I see. All the cans dropped as I heard the voice. It was the guy from the broadcast. I'm sorry if I surprised you. As you may have seen from our broadcast, I have a flair for the dramatic. I went to my windows and peeked in between the blinds, trying to see where this guy was. Well, if you're going to be modest about it. I see you're able to make light of the situation while being cautious. Good. You won't be able to see me from your windows. And where are you? Come to the roof of your building. We'll talk there. That didn't really answer my question. Don't worry. You and I will meet face to face. And then I can answer all the questions you have. And then some. Keep in mind that I've got some neighbors here who take serious offense to my presence. From what I've witnessed in the past couple of days, they shouldn't be too much trouble for you, if you know what to do. Think of this as a test. Come to the roof of your building without being noticed by your fellow tenants. Take whatever path you want. Arrive by stairs, elevator, or by unorthodox means. Is it bad that I don't have a number 2 pencil? Oh, don't worry. I'm a forgiving examiner. He hung up. I decided that since he came all this way to meet me, I might as well go and say hi. I got my shoes on and started mentally chanting, "You can't see me," as I went out of my apartment and made my way to the roof. The elevator in this building was old and really loud, so the best idea was probably to use the stairs. It probably wasn't a good idea to see if I could somehow levitate myself to the roof, unless I wanted to put enough pressure on my body to pop it like one of my pop cans. Stairs it was then. I was on the 3rd floor, and the building itself was comprised of 7 floors, which means I would be doing a lot of walking. Eventually I made it to the door of the roof and went outside. The air felt cool and refreshing, especially after going up all those stairs. I looked around and didn't see anyone. Then I remembered what the guy said. I looked behind me to the roof door. No one was standing next to it, but up in the air above it I saw him. Excellent. Your ability of mental suggestions is coming along. He was wearing the same outfit he wore during that broadcast. Suggestions? You mean my power of persuasion? Persuasion? I like the sound of that. Really rolls off the tongue. The guy was about 4 feet above the door, just suspended in the air like it's nothing. Which, given how he acts, I guess really is nothing for him. How powerful is he really? He descended until he was standing on the roof a few feet away from me. You obviously have questions. Who am I? What are we? What is happening? Why are we doing this? What happens now? What are these powers? Did I guess right on some of them? A few, yeah. He actually got all of them right. Well, let me start. I'll spare you any more drama so you can get the answers you want. I am Joseph, head of Kinesis. Kinesis is a group dedicated to the survival and expansion of our race, Homo Psionis, the race you and I belong to. Homo Psionis are humans who have evolved to the point where we are capable of some abilities others would find supernatural. Powers of the mind. What is happening is that Kinesis has taken the responsibility of seeing to Homo Psionis taking the place of Homo Mutatus in all factors of life, economics, community, politics, even in taking the top bracket of the food chain. We are doing this because Homo Mutatus is at a point where they have peaked in evolution and are now regressing. Soon they will become more feral than wild animals and must be taken care of. What happens now is that Mutatus will die out, either by the hands of Psionis or their own. The powers you and I have are evolutionary in nature. We've just evolved to the point where we have them. We still don't know how far these powers go, or all of what they enable us to do. I believe that covers the basics. Would you like me to repeat anything you may have missed? No, I'm fine. I do have one question, though. By all means, ask. Well, Kinesis in general, pretty much declared war on the violence, right? Yes. Then why haven't you done anything else since the day of the broadcast? You guys destroyed a couple of cities and then you vanished from the map. Nowhere to be seen. Why? An excellent question. Though I wonder if you don't know it yourself. You heard from your friend Jeremy that there was a genetic change in the violets. Yeah, and how did you know Jeremy and I were friends? He was the only person I called with that number. And if he is as careful as I had been told, he would have kept it in case something happened. I don't have to read minds to figure out you were associated with him. Oh, but for your question, the reason we aren't attacking outright is because we're waiting. Waiting to clean up what remains of Homo Mutatus. Joseph then walked to the edge of the building facing the street. He looked down and beckoned me. Over here. I walked over and saw what he was looking at. Another group of violets. Though the majority of them were circled around two of them. One of the two was standing. The other wasn't. Watch. Suddenly, the guy in the middle lunged forward and pinned another violet to the ground. He then proceeded to bite the guy's neck, and thrashed around until he jerked his head up, his mouth colored red. This is what we're waiting for. The genetic change that Jeremy showed you is in actuality a genetic degradation. These animals have become so stagnant that they are falling apart at the genetic level, to the point where they are showing their true colors, those of an animal, one that will attack its own kind out of primal bloodlust. I listened to what Joseph said, but at the same time I was both focused and repulsed by what I saw. The guy went from violet to violet, using both teeth and the claws from his hands to tear into his companions. Some tried to reason with him. The rest tried to fight him. I think a few of those that fought also became like their friend. But when Joseph finished talking, the guy was still up and walking. The others weren't. We have found that becoming agitated and aggravated helps to increase the degradation process. The more aggravated they are, the sooner they succumb to their more base instincts. And as you can guess, we decided to play it safe and give the violets a good reason to become so aggravated that they regress right before your eyes. I see that, I said, trying to make sure my dinner stays in my stomach. When you say they regress right before my eyes, do you mean a mental regression to primal instincts, or... I take it you've seen some who have exhibited some abnormal physical traits. We have also seen exaggerated physical characteristics in the violets when they have succumbed to their primal ways. Some changes are so extreme that they no longer physically resemble men. They become beast in both body and mind. If the changes are so extreme, wouldn't that put a toll on the body that they would just die? Yes, and they have. The longest one has lived after such a change has been 6 minutes and 25 seconds. After that, their heart simply gave out. I see. This was a lot to take in. I'm sure I had more questions, but I just didn't know them at the time. I was really going to have to sit on this for a while. Maybe let Jeremy know what I learned today. Well, I can see that you will need some time to process all of this, so I will take my leave now. If you have any questions, you have my number. Give me a call, and we'll talk. Wait, are you going to try to recruit me to join Kinesis, or carpet bomb this neighborhood? Adam, we're not like that. If you wanted to join us, you would have asked long ago. No sense in pressuring you to do something you aren't sure of. And as for taking care of the violets in this part of town, we're far more subtle than to use a bombing run. I thought you knew that. After all, he started to rise up, hovering a few feet above the roof. You've seen our handiwork firsthand. And then he was gone. Seriously, the guy just disappeared in thin air. He said I had gotten good at my powers. But how good do I have to be to do what he did?